Welcome to Team-Trak. To get started, you need to sign up for our free trial. To do this, go to Start Your Free Trial Now on our website, or scroll down to the bottom of the page. From there, enter your full name, the name of your business, your email address, choose a password, and select your country from the list of drop-down options. Feel free to opt in to receiving emails from Team-Trak to be sent tips and tricks on how to get the best use out of our services. Then, select Start My Free Trial. Once you're in, the dashboard takes you through the necessary onboarding in a straightforward, step-by-step guide. First, it will ask you to review your personal and address information, including your contact details, business address, and other essential information that will appear on invoices, reports, and official documents. Here, you can see your email address and your full name. If you would like, you can upload a profile image as well as change your password. Leaving this field blank will leave it unchanged. But if you enter a new password, it will update when you press Save Changes at the bottom of the page. You must also enter your business address here. If you start to type it in this first box, it will auto-populate the rest of the fields for you. Once done, press Save Changes to proceed. Next, it will direct you to review and configure your preferences. This is to set your currency, tax settings, and other important configurations that will ensure accurate tracking and invoicing. Change your currency by clicking this drop-down menu and selecting the appropriate currency. To enable VAT or sales tax, select Yes on this next drop-down menu. If you enable VAT, you will then be given the chance to enter your VAT or sales tax number. You can also select if tax is inclusive and the VAT/sales tax percentage. You can also choose to enable or disable QR tracking. This is useful if you would like to use QR code scanning as a method of tracking your employees' arrival to their scheduled property. You can also decide whether or not you would like employees to take a picture upon arrival to the property to once again determine their location further. If you would like to only rely on GPS verification, neither of these are essential. Once a staff member clocks in, their time tracking can be automatically rounded to the nearest 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or 1 hour. Alternatively, you can have it set so that no automatic rounding will take place. You can also select the frequency that invoices and payslips are generated. This can be either weekly or monthly. Finally, on this page, you can also select if the administrator is part of the working team. This is perfect if you not only run the business, but also service clients yourself. The next step is to create profiles for your employees. To do so, press Add Team Member. Here, you can input their email address and full name. Then you must set them a password. Then you can choose their rate per hour. You can select whether they are paid using payslips or work notes. You can also optionally input their phone number as well as a bio for the employee. Next, you will need to input their address. Again, if you start typing their address in this box, it will auto-populate in the rest of the fields for you. It will then prompt you to create a schedule for that employee. But first, you'll need to create your first client. To do so, enter their email address and their name. Select whether they will pay via invoice or cash receipt under payment type. You can optionally enter a phone number and a service description if you would like. You will then need to enter their address as you have done previously. Clients may have multiple addresses. For example, they might have a headquarters as well as multiple properties to be serviced. Alternatively, it may just have one address, which is the one to be serviced. You can either enter their main headquarters address in this page and then set up the property or properties separately later, or if the client only has one address, tick the Create a Property box to make this address a property for the system. If you do not create a property at that stage, the dashboard will then prompt you to do so. You will need to enter the name of the client from a list of drop-downs. Then you can name the property for easy reporting. You can enter a description of the property if you would like. You can enter an allowed check-in range. As Team-Trak is built upon the functionality of GPS verification, you can set the range in which a clock-in is approved. If it is a large site, you may allow for a larger range. If it is a smaller site, such as a residential building, this may be smaller. You can then set the rate and whether it is an hourly rate or a fixed rate. You can specify whether this is a regular property or an occasional one. You can also choose to automatically clock employees out at the end of the day if they forget. Then you can input the address details for this property. If it is the same as the client address, you can tick this option for it to autofill with the details that you previously inputted for the client. Once that is done, you are ready to create a schedule for your employee. To create a schedule for your team member, you may need to first select the correct options from these drop-downs. First, select the name of the team member. Then select the client that they will be servicing. And lastly, select the corresponding property. Once you press Add Schedule, you'll be able to start designing the schedule. You can choose whether the service will take place on a weekly, monthly, or custom basis. If you choose weekly, you can select the days of the week required. Red means that the day is selected, whilst grey indicates that there is no activity required on that day. You can change the time for when their shift should be taking place. You can also arrange it on a monthly basis. To do so, select the date of the month that the property will be serviced, for example, the 1st of every month, followed by the time. Alternatively, you can schedule a custom arrangement for a less frequent service. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to schedule a daily occurrence of a short shift. Now your schedule has been created. You now have your first staff member, your first client, your first property, and your first schedule. You can create more team members by going to the team page and selecting Add Team Member. Likewise with clients, properties, and schedules. And now you are fully set up and ready to use Team-Trak.